In this tutorial, you will be introduced to the medicine wheel, an indigenous symbol that inspires the LINCDIRE pedagogy. Let's begin by briefly going over what will be covered in this tutorial. The first section is an introduction to the medicine wheel and how it is used as a model for effective learning. We will then discuss why the medicine wheel is important in the LINCDIRE project and how it plays a role in LIGHT, our online student portfolio. Finally, we will look at the components of LIGHT in more depth. The medicine wheel is a representation of the indigenous worldview that promotes a holistic and balanced way of life. It is made up of 4 quadrants: the spiritual, emotional, physical, and intellectual, each representing one aspect of development in a person's life. The medicine wheel is also the foundation of indigenous pedagogy. By fostering the development of these 4 aspects in the classroom, the indigenous model of learning is one that is holistic and culturally respectful. Let's now look at each quadrant in depth. The first quadrant is the spirit, which is represented by the color yellow. The spiritual aspect refers to the idea that learning is always grounded in and connected to the learner's culture, community, and real life. For example, a cultural artifact such as a boomerang can inspire lessons in art, language, history, math, and more, while also teaching students about their culture and grounding these subjects in the real world. So learning takes place within a wider perspective, fostering student motivation with content that is culturally meaningful to them. The second quadrant is emotion, represented by the color red. Emotion in learning is fostered through the use of imagery. The use of symbols, images, and stories in the classroom can support the learning of new content. Students can also create their own imagery to illustrate concepts and demonstrate what they have learned. The third quadrant refers to the physical aspect of the self, represented by the color black. The physical aspect of learning highlights the importance of hands-on experience and practice through interactive and collaborative work. Learning through various nonverbal modes, informal and in informal settings, and in a nonlinear fashion, allows learners to develop critical thinking skills and be better equipped to approach new knowledge. The fourth quadrant is the intellectual aspect, represented by the color white. The intellectual defines the importance of student reflection on the learning pathways and processes. This is done through starting from a more holistic perspective to smaller sequential stages, and by using images and concept maps to visualize the learning process. Overall, students are reflecting on the learning process to develop strategies for lifelong learning. Now that you have a general understanding of the medicine wheel, let's now turn to how the medicine wheel plays a part in the LINCDIRE project. In terms of its pedagogical values, the medicine wheel has a lot in common with the main goals of LINCDIRE. Both share a focus on holistic and inclusive education to help students become more aware of their own identity, learning, and of the environment around them. The medicine wheel's guidelines for holistic and effective teaching have had a key influence on the development of LIGHT, LINCDIRE's online portfolio. This is represented in the LIGHT logo. As you can see, all 4 colors of the medicine wheel are present. LIGHT is a tool to help students develop the spiritual, emotional, physical, and intellectual aspects of themselves. Overall, this is an integration of indigenous and plurilingual approaches regarding the processes of knowledge building. The integration of these 2 similar yet different perspectives allows us to reconceptualize the learning process and develop tools to help students in their learning. LIGHT is the tool that we have developed through the integration of these 2 perspectives. In the next section, let's look at how LIGHT embodies the key teachings of the medicine wheel. LIGHT is a student portfolio that promotes reflection on culture, the learning process, learning experiences, and on one's own identity. Below, you will see how LIGHT draws on aspects of the medicine wheel. One feature you'll notice that is different is the inclusion of the inner circle. In LIGHT, this represents My Treasure Chest. Here, students will display a collection of their own works that show a holistic image of their growth as a learner. These works will be chosen and justified for inclusion by the students themselves. The yellow quadrant is defined as spirit and values. This quadrant focuses on the students' roots, community, and intercultural growth. Here, students will reflect on their own and other cultures. They will consider questions such as, how have my values and perspectives evolved through cultural encounters within and outside my community? Red is emotion and reactions. In this quadrant, students will focus on their own personal stories through reflection on themselves as plurilingual beings. Some emotion-related questions include, what metaphors can best represent who I am? What kind of narrative or imagery can I use to demonstrate how I grew as a person? The black quadrant refers to the body and actions. Here, students focus on nonverbal strategies and reflect on their own learning experiences, such as, in which context did I learn best? With whom? Doing what? The white quadrant refers to the student's mind and decisions. Here, the focus is on metalinguistic and metacognitive awareness and reflection on the language learning process. Students will be encouraged to ask themselves questions such as, what did I learn about my language learning? What links can I make between languages? And what learning strategies work best for me? This quadrant is also related to the development of plurilingual awareness and skills. This is the end of the tutorial on the medicine wheel. Please continue on to the next tutorial on the action-oriented approach.